Welcome to This Explainer. Have you ever wondered, is this my intuition telling me not to do it, or is it just fear? It's a question so many of us ask, especially when we're standing at a major crossroads, about to make a huge decision. You get this overwhelming gut feeling and you just freeze.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because it is an incredibly difficult distinction to make. The truth is, fear and intuition can feel remarkably similar in your body, but they come from entirely different places. It's so hard to tell if our inner voice is this profound, protective wisdom, or if it's just a disguised trauma response trying to keep us locked comfortably inside our safety zone.
To really get a handle on this, we have to look at something trauma researcher Dr. Bessel van der Kolk said. He points out that our gut isn't lying to us. Rather, it's often telling the truth about something that happened years ago, but it's reporting it as if it's happening right this very second. Our biological alarms are just doing their job trying to protect us, but sometimes they're reacting to past pain, not present danger.
Part 1, the science of inner signals. Let's actually look at the neurobiology here, because these feelings are deeply rooted in hard science, not just mystical woo-woo.
Dr. Stephen Porges, the creator of polyvagal theory, came up with a brilliant term for this. He calls it neuroception. Basically, this is your nervous system's automatic, completely subconscious scanning for cues of safety or danger. Think of it like a background app on your phone, running a constant risk assessment 24/7 without you even knowing it. It triggers physical shifts, like a suddenly racing heart, or a wave of calm, before your conscious thinking brain even clocks in for the day.
Building right on that is something neuroscientist Antonio Damasio calls the somatic marker hypothesis. This theory argues that your physical sensations actually intersect with your brain's rational systems to guide your choices. Before you even have a chance to make a logical pros and cons list, your body throws up an automated alarm signal based on your past experiences. It literally forces your attention toward or away from certain options. So our rational decisions actually require these bodily inputs.
Part 2. When trauma hijacks the gut. What happens when this amazing internal alarm system malfunctions? When our baseline shifts to fear, our internal compass gets seriously scrambled. When your sympathetic nervous system detects a threat, whether that threat is real or just perceived, it kicks into survival mode. You probably know these reflexes. There's fight, which can look like sudden defensiveness or irritation; flight, which is avoidance or just getting frantically busy; freeze, where you completely shut down into indecision; or fawn, which usually shows up as intense people-pleasing and over-explaining. These are incredibly intelligent, adaptive patterns, but they are coming from a place of fear, not clarity. In a psychological framework called internal family systems, or IFS, we view these fear responses as well-meaning subpersonalities, or parts, just doing their job to protect you. You have exiles, the vulnerable parts carrying all that past pain. Then you have managers, these proactive protectors trying to control everything so you never get hurt again. And firefighters, the reactive parts that spring into action, like binge-watching TV or overworking, just to distract you when those vulnerable feelings bubble up. At the end of the day, they just want to keep you safe.
Now, we used to think the amygdala was just this primitive caveman fear center, but recent research from Dartmouth College shows it's actually a highly sophisticated strategic mediator. It decides how we learn from our environment. But here's the catch. When it gets stressed by uncertainty or trauma, a sensitized amygdala can get locked into rigid, stimulus-based learning. It pattern matches. It sees a minor present-day trigger and sets off a massive historical alarm, making us overreact and repeat the exact same defensive actions over and over again.
And this is exactly why the cliché advice to just trust your gut can actually be dangerous advice after experiencing trauma. When trauma sensitizes your brain's threat detection center, your gut can generate persistent false alarms in situations that are perfectly safe. If you follow that feeling literally, you might actually self-sabotage and pull away from a great opportunity simply because your gut is reacting to a memory that's wearing today's clothes.
Part 3. Spotting the difference. If fear and intuition feel identical in the body, how do we actually tell them apart?
The answer is actually wonderfully simple. Your intuition gets clearer when you stop overthinking it. Intuition isn't based on panic, it's based on awareness. It requires an exhale. It requires dropping the analysis paralysis. When your body feels safe, your genuine intuition is finally able to surface.
Think about it this way. Fear is loud, it's urgent and frantic. It fills your mind with what-if questions and focuses on everything that could go wrong based on past pain, rejection, or failure. It usually feels like a tight chest or a knot in your stomach. Intuition is completely different. It's usually quiet. It doesn't panic or pressure you. It feels calm, steady, and clear, even when the decision in front of you is incredibly difficult. It feels like open space, focusing purely on a present truth.
You can also tell them apart by watching how they behave over time. If new facts arrive proving a situation is completely safe, a fear response will hold fixed and ignore the proof. The alarm just keeps ringing. Intuition, however, fluidly updates, sharpens, or softens as new information comes in. Fear is motivated purely by safety and control, while intuition is motivated by alignment and authenticity. And while fear comes with this loud, chaotic mental chatter, intuition is just a simple, quiet knowing, no dramatic backstory required.
Part 4. Reclaiming your inner wisdom. Now that we know the difference, how do we calm the static so we can actually hear the truth?
This is where emotional intelligence becomes absolutely crucial. When you learn to regulate your emotions, you're so much better at recognizing whether you're reacting from anxiety or responding to your inner wisdom. It all starts with regulating our bodies into what's called a safe ventral vagal state. Through somatic awareness, things like grounding exercises or deep breath work, we can quiet those loud protective parts of ourselves and access our core, undamaged self that naturally possesses clarity and confidence.
Let's look at a concrete strategy for dealing with that stressed amygdala. First, just pause. Notice the physical sensation without immediately acting on it. Second, shift from rigid, stimulus-based fear, where your instinct is to just freeze or run away, into action-based exploration. Take tiny, curious actions to investigate what's going on. By doing this, we literally teach our brains that we are safe, which grounds us and allows true clarity to come back online.
So the next time you are faced with a difficult decision and you feel that crazy surge in your gut, pause and ask yourself, is this thought creating panic or is it bringing clarity? Take a second right now to apply this to a dilemma you're facing. Test the energy of your thoughts. Does it feel like a blaring alarm or a long exhale?
Next, dig a little deeper into the real motivation behind your hesitation. Honestly ask yourself, am I just trying to avoid discomfort right now because this is new and scary, or am I genuinely sensing that something truly isn't right for me?
And here is the ultimate circuit breaker. When anxiety is running high and you just cannot tell if it's fear or intuition, stop trying to decode the frantic feeling. Pivot to your values. Ask yourself, if fear wasn't in control right now, what choice would actually align with my values? Focusing on your core values is a far more reliable compass than trying to decipher an overwhelmed nervous system.
Remember, fear says, don't move. It wants you to contract and hide. Intuition says, pay attention. It wants you to expand and observe. The more you build self-awareness, regulate your nervous system, and trust yourself, the easier it becomes to hear the quiet voice of intuition over the loud voice of fear. You don't have to silence fear completely. It's just a part of you trying to help. You just don't have to let it make your decisions.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer. I want to turn this over to you. Have you ever been in a situation where you realized that what you thought was intuition was actually just fear in disguise? Or maybe vice versa? I would absolutely love to hear how you figured it out. Share your experience in the comments below, and let's keep learning from each other. Thanks for joining me.